We will make sure that when a kid is in the womb, they're as safe as they are in a classroom, the workplace, a nursing home.
That was Trump's former White House press secretary, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, threatening fetuses by saying that she wants them to be as safe as children in America's classrooms or in the workplace or in nursing homes. And honestly, all three of those things, all three groups of people didn't do so well, especially over the last 2 years. And I want to make my case in just a moment. But obviously I'm kidding here. She's just so out of touch, so tone deaf, and so disconnected from reality that she didn't even realize that saying that you want fetuses to be as safe as kids in a classroom is insane, as we have mass shootings happening in this nation's classrooms on a regular basis. In fact, to make matters worse, she made the comments on the day she won the GOP primaries, get a load of this, the same day when 19 children and 2 teachers were killed in a mass shooting in an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas. Jessica, how are these people? They just live in a different world. They're not living in the world we live in because they get to enjoy safety. They get to enjoy protection. So in her mind, schools are totally safe because she can only see through her own perspective of being a very protected person. But no, a lot of kids in schools in America do not feel safe, neither do their parents, because of policies that goons like her have put into place, goons from her party have put into place, expanding so-called gun rights, loosening the already lax gun laws we have to ensure that anyone who wants a gun, regardless of their past criminality, regardless of their domestic violence, regardless of anything they've done, they have the ability to easily purchase whatever weapon they want with high capacity magazines included. Go ahead.
Is it absolutely, they're out of touch. That's a much better explanation. Because I have a theory that maybe someone in DC who like really needed a job, they took a job as Sarah Huckabee's speechwriter kind of as a bit, and they're trolling her by writing stuff like this. I think it's probably a more realistic explanation that she's just terribly out of touch. But if we think about this, this might actually be hopeful for post-Roe America, because if they're saying that they're going to make babies in the womb as safe as children in a classroom, well, what do Republicans do when children are murdered in a classroom? Nothing. So are they going to do nothing if we continue to exercise our right to abortion? Maybe that's a good sign.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could be hopeful, but they love to control women. They love to, evangelicals in this country specifically love punishing women for feeling sexually liberated and engaging in intimacy that they feel comfortable engaging in. You can't do that because according to weird, creepy evangelicals who for some reason are sitting around thinking about our sex lives like creeps would, you're not allowed to ever engage in intimacy for any reason other than reproducing, allegedly. But at the end of the day, we know that the destruction of reproductive rights in this country by the right wing is about power and control. That's all it is. You look at the roots of the evangelical movement to ban abortion, and it didn't start because they actually cared about abortion. It started because evangelical leaders who had responded to school integration by creating private segregated institutions were very upset that the federal government did away with their tax exempt status. So in a way to galvanize right-wing voters in the country, evangelical leaders like Paul Weyrich decided to really focus on reproductive rights and fearmonger about reproductive rights to galvanize these right-wing voters, get them to spring into action, get together as part of like a broader religious coalition to essentially strip Americans of their rights. And so, by the way, Sarah Huckabee Sanders is definitely part of that plot. And unfortunately, she won the Republican primary nomination in the 2022 Arkansas gubernatorial election with a landslide victory last month after securing the support of Donald Trump. So it's very likely, since Arkansas is such a red state, that she will be the next governor of Arkansas. It's pretty pretty terrible. But one of the people who was outraged by her statement was Fred Gutenberg, whose daughter actually died in a school shooting. In a tweet, he says, "My daughter was murdered in her classroom." When Sarah Huckabee Sanders says, "We will make sure that when a kid is in the womb, they're as safe as they are in a classroom," I take notice. Sarah, your BS is deadly to kids when they are born. And I think that's a really, really important part of the tweet. And by the way, his daughter was shot and killed during the mass shooting in Parkland in 2018. So any final words, Jessica, before we wrap up the story?
Yeah, I think it's super important to bring in the history here like you did. And before this pivotal moment where they realized that they could add reproductive rights and outlawing abortion as a part of their policy platforms, the right is the one that really took hold of it. They said, oh, we can get evangelicals and conservatives to vote for us if we add this to the platform. But the thing about anti-abortion policy is, sure, you can galvanize your base around that, take it as a part of your platform to get more votes. Is that a terrible thing to do? Yes, but they took it one step further because their solution to prevent abortion from happening in this country is to not give women more resources. It's not sex education in schools. And I mean, another possible solution that a lot of people are talking about that I don't particularly like, because I support people having bodily autonomy, but people are talking about mandatory vasectomies. Would that guarantee people not having abortions? Yes, it would, but they care way more about men's bodily autonomy than women's. And this isn't always about controlling women, and now it's about forced birth. And so it's really scary to think that, not only are they taking this issue and galvanizing people's fear about, their religious beliefs and making them vote against their self-interest, because these are the same people that are governing on behalf of corporations and gutting public resources and taking our tax dollars and using them for things that don't benefit us. So they're making people vote not in their self-interest, and then their policy solution running on an anti-abortion platform is one that hurts women all across the country.
Yeah, you make such a great point, especially in regard to the lack of resources necessary to ensure that a woman who's now forced into carrying out a pregnancy has the healthcare necessary to ensure that she and the fetus are healthy. There's been no discussion at all on the right wing, or to be quite honest, even among Democrats, about what we're gonna do about our broken healthcare system, where you still have tens of millions of Americans without health insurance. And then you have countless Americans who might have health insurance, but it doesn't cover the basic necessities to prevent severe illness. That is the country we're living in. This is not about protecting any life. This is all about a political movement that has seen reproductive rights as a tool for power accumulation. That's it. That's all it's been from the very beginning. It's about power and control. And I would argue we're gonna see far more people die as a result, because we have that broken healthcare system. It's like a dangerous cocktail. Broken healthcare system, forced pregnancy, forced childbirth. A lot of women who are gonna be terrified to research what their options are, because in certain states with fetal personhood, you could be prosecuted for a stillbirth or a miscarriage. It's gonna be a disaster. And I'm terrified to see the ramifications to women across the country, especially in these red states. Well, we gotta take a, sorry, go ahead, Jessica.
Just one final point on this. Kristi Noem was asked, what are you going to do for all of the women that are having babies? And the response was, I don't know, this just passed. We're not really sure what's gonna happen. So you had time to write a bunch of trigger laws in advance of this ruling, but not think once about those babies that were being born. I find that hard to believe.
No, she's too busy writing anti-trans bills, against trans athletes. When she was asked, by the way, hey, can you name a single trans athlete who inspired this bill? Not one, she couldn't name one, much like other Republican lawmakers across the country. But she's busy with that because it's all a game for them. It's all about culture war narratives that they can exploit and use for their advantage to gain political power or keep political power. It's so sick how little these people care about us.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.